I am about to reveal something that might shock you. Something that is happening inside your arteries right now, while you eat the breakfast your doctor told you to eat. And the grain that could stop it is one you have probably never been told about. There are 5 grains. They cost less than your morning coffee. You can add them to your breakfast tomorrow. The first changes inside your body begin in 4 days. But 4 of these grains are ones your doctor has never mentioned. And the 5th, the one you think is protecting your heart right now, is actually the weakest of the 5. You have been eating the bronze medal every morning, while the gold medal sits in the same grocery aisle for less money. That is not an accident. The company that makes your oatmeal spent decades getting that heart logo on the box. The grain that actually protects your arteries has no company, no logo, no commercial. The better grain lost the advertising war. Your arteries paid the price. By the end of this video, you will know which 5 grains belong in your bowl tomorrow morning, how much of each, what they do inside your artery walls, and which foods in your kitchen right now are canceling out everything your medication is trying to do. A woman named Martha found this out at 71. She was 90 days away from having a metal tube pushed into the main artery of her heart. What she changed at breakfast is the reason that surgery never happened. Martha was a retired gardener from Sedona, California. She did everything right for 20 years, and her arteries were full of plaque anyway. This is what she ate every morning that caused it. Honey Nut instant oatmeal with the heart logo, 2 slices of whole wheat toast, a glass of orange juice. She followed every guideline. Her cholesterol was fine. Her blood pressure was managed. Every checkup ended the same way. Everything looks good, Martha. Then a scan showed her arteries were packed with calcium and plaque, a score of 450. Anything over 400 is severe. The main artery feeding her heart was 80% blocked, the one doctors call the widowmaker. She needed a stent, surgery in 90 days. She said, "I did everything right. I ate the oatmeal. I followed the guidelines for 20 years. How am I 80% blocked?" That question is the reason you need to hear the answer. Because if Martha can follow every rule for 20 years and still end up with a widowmaker blockage, you need to know what she was doing wrong. And you are probably doing the same thing right now. Her doctor blamed genetics. I am going to show you what was actually to blame. And when you hear it, you are going to look at your own breakfast differently tomorrow morning. I know this because I have held arteries during surgery. I have cut them open and looked inside. A healthy artery is pink, smooth. The inside surface glistens like wet silk. Blood flows through it without resistance. The wall is so flexible, you can press it flat between your fingers and it springs right back. An artery that has been damaged by 20 years of sugar spikes and inflammation looks nothing like that. The inside surface is rough, yellowish. Raised bumps of plaque line the wall like barnacles on a ship hull. Some of those bumps are soft and filled with cholesterol. Those are the dangerous ones. They can rupture. When they rupture, a blood clot forms in seconds. If that clot blocks the artery, that is a heart attack. If it breaks loose and travels to the brain, that is a stroke. Other bumps are hard, calcified, white like bone. Those are the ones that show up on the calcium scan. Martha had both kinds. The soft ones were the immediate danger. The hard ones were the 20-year history of a breakfast that was quietly destroying her from the inside. I have seen this in hundreds of patients, and the pattern is always the same. The patient followed the guidelines. The patient ate what they were told to eat. The patient trusted the number on the blood test. And the artery tells a completely different story than the chart. I have felt the difference. One artery is soft and flexible, like a rubber tube. The next one has been turned to stone by 20 years of the wrong breakfast. You cannot squeeze it. You cannot bend it. The calcium has turned living tissue into pipe. And the process that turned it to stone started at the kitchen table every morning. What did you eat for breakfast today? Was it oatmeal? Was it toast? Was there sugar on top? Honey? Maple syrup? A glass of juice? If that sounds like your morning, what you hear next could change the conversation at your next doctor's visit. And that conversation is the one where your doctor says, "We might be able to reduce your medication." Grain number 1, flaxseed. And the reason your oatmeal is not protecting you the way you think it is. Your oatmeal does one thing. It traps a small amount of cholesterol in your gut and flushes it out. That lowers your blood test number by maybe 5 to 7%. One thing. One small effect. That is why it got the heart logo. But lowering cholesterol by 5% does not stop what is actually happening inside the artery wall. And what is happening inside the artery wall is what kills you, not the number on the blood test, the wall. Flaxseed does 4 things at the same time, and every one of them works directly on the wall itself. The first, it contains the richest source of a plant omega-3 fat on Earth. When you eat ground flaxseed, that fat does something physical. It inserts itself into the outer wall of the cells lining your arteries. It literally replaces the inflammatory fats that were sitting there. Picture a brick wall where some bricks are crumbling and cracked. The omega-3 pulls out the crumbling bricks and replaces them with solid ones. The wall becomes tighter, calmer, less irritated, less likely to crack open and let cholesterol through. That is something your oatmeal cannot do. Your oatmeal works in your gut. Flaxseed works on the wall itself. The wall is where the disease lives. The second, flaxseed contains a protective compound at 800 times the concentration of any other food. Your gut bacteria convert it into a substance that travels to the artery wall and acts like a shield. It stops cholesterol from rusting inside the wall. Your doctor may never have explained this part. The cholesterol floating in your blood is not what clogs your arteries. Cholesterol only becomes dangerous when it pushes through the wall and rusts. That rusting triggers your immune system. Your immune system attacks. The attack becomes inflammation. The inflammation becomes plaque. Flaxseed stops the rusting before the chain starts. Your oatmeal does not touch it. Your doctor checks the cholesterol number and says it looks good. But that number measures what is floating in your blood. It does not measure what is inside the wall. And what is inside the wall is what kills you. Flaxseed stops cholesterol from rusting inside the wall. Oatmeal does not even know the wall exists. Your blood test says you are fine. Your artery wall says you are not. And nobody is testing the wall. You have been fighting the wrong battle with the wrong weapon for years. And nobody told you. Not because your doctor is bad. Your doctor has 12 minutes per appointment. 12 minutes to check your vitals, review your pills, address your complaint, document everything for insurance, and move to the next patient. There is no time to explain how flaxseed lignans stop cholesterol oxidation inside the artery wall. There was no lecture on this in medical school. There is no drug company sending a representative to the office to promote ground flaxseed. There is no billing code for the conversation. The information exists. It is published in peer-reviewed journals. The flaxseed study dropped blood pressure 15 points. The barley study has an FDA health claim. The millet study reviewed over 65 papers. The research is there. It just never reached your kitchen table. Because the system is built to deliver pills, not breakfast protocols. And the cereal company that does visit the office leaves a pamphlet with a heart logo on it. The third, flaxseed blocks the same enzyme your blood pressure pills block. A study gave 110 patients with blocked arteries 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed a day. Their blood pressure dropped 15 points on the top number. 15 points. That is more than most single blood pressure pills deliver. If you are on a blood pressure pill right now and you add flaxseed, your pressure could drop further than expected. That is not a side effect. That is the flaxseed starting to do what the pill does. Check your numbers daily for the first 2 weeks. If you feel lightheaded when you stand, your doctor may need to lower your pill dose. That is the conversation you want to have. Fewer pills, not more. The fourth, flaxseed loosens stiff arteries, makes them flexible again. Stiff arteries are a better predictor of heart trouble than your cholesterol number. Your doctor has probably never tested your artery stiffness, but flaxseed improves it with every serving. Martha ate oatmeal for 20 years. Her cholesterol looked fine. Her artery wall was being destroyed by a process the blood test does not measure. If she had been adding 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed instead, the omega-3 would have calmed the lining. The shield would have stopped the rusting. The natural pressure drop would have protected the wall. The stiffness that let the plaque build might never have developed. 2 tablespoons. A few cents a day. 20 years of damage that did not have to happen. Ground, not whole. Your body cannot crack the shell. Whole seeds pass straight through you. Buy it ground or grind it yourself. Keep it in the refrigerator because it goes bad fast once the shell is broken. 2 tablespoons stirred into your morning bowl. If you are on a blood thinner like warfarin or Eliquis, flaxseed has a mild blood thinning effect of its own. Tell your doctor you are adding it so they can check your clotting at the next visit. Now, flaxseed protects the lining and stops the rusting. But there is a second problem inside your arteries that flaxseed cannot fix. And this second problem is the reason your statin might not be enough, even if your cholesterol number is perfect. Grain number 2, barley. And the reason cholesterol is not the enemy you think it is. You have been told your whole life that cholesterol clogs arteries. Lower the cholesterol and the arteries are safe. That is why you take a statin. That is why you avoid eggs. That is why you eat oatmeal. That story is missing the most important part. Cholesterol floating in your blood does not cause heart disease. It flows past your artery walls the way water flows past the walls of a pipe. If the pipe is sealed, nothing gets through. The problem starts when the pipe develops cracks, when the lining becomes inflamed and swollen and gaps open between the cells. That is when cholesterol slips through. Once inside the wall, it rusts. Your immune system attacks the rust. Plaque forms. The real question is not how much cholesterol is in your blood. It is how tight the wall is. If the wall is sealed, even high cholesterol bounces off. If the wall is leaky, even low cholesterol seeps through. Your statin lowers the amount floating in the blood. It does nothing to seal the wall. That is the gap in your treatment. And barley fills it. Barley contains more of the protective fiber than oats. But barley's version is heavier and denser. Your gut bacteria break it down into a compound that enters your blood and does something remarkable. It turns off the molecular glue on the surface of your artery wall. That glue grabs immune cells from the blood and drags them into the wall to form plaque. Without the glue, the immune cells flow past. The wall stays clean. Your statin cannot do this. No pill can do this. Barley does it with every bowl. Barley also turns down the alarm chemicals in your blood that make the wall swell and leak. When those alarms quiet, the gaps close. The wall tightens. Cholesterol stays where it belongs, in the blood, not in the wall. You are thinking, if the wall is the real problem, why does my doctor only test the cholesterol? Because the blood test is easy. 1 tube, 5 minutes. Testing the wall takes equipment your doctor does not have. The system tests what is easy and treats what is easy. Your artery wall is neither, so it gets ignored. And you take a statin to lower a number that may not be the number that matters. Martha's cholesterol was normal for 20 years. Her doctor said the number looked good. The wall was leaking the entire time. The cholesterol was seeping through. The rust was building. The plaque was growing. The number never caught it. Use whole barley, not pearl barley. Pearl has been polished. That polishing strips the protective layer. Whole barley is tough. It needs to soak overnight. That is exactly why it works in the 5-grain bowl. You soak it the night before. Heat it in 5 minutes the next morning. A 1/4 cup per serving. If you have celiac disease or serious gluten sensitivity, skip the barley. It contains gluten. Use extra buckwheat instead. Which brings me to the 3rd grain. And this is the one that scares me. Because what it addresses is the thing every senior has been told cannot be fixed. Grain number 3, buckwheat. And the reason hardening of the arteries may not be permanent. If your doctor told you that you have calcium in your arteries, you were probably told it is there forever, that the hardening cannot be undone, that you just have to manage it. That is not the whole truth, and the part they left out could change everything. Your body has a traffic system for calcium. Calcium belongs in your bones and teeth. It does not belong in your artery walls. There is a protein in your blood that acts like a traffic cop. When that protein is active, it grabs calcium and sends it to bone. When it is not active, calcium drifts. It lands in soft tissue. It lands in your arteries. It turns flexible vessels into rigid pipe. Buckwheat contains a compound called rutin. Rutin works with the traffic cop. It helps keep the protein active. It blocks the signals that tell the muscle cells inside your artery to start acting like bone cells. That transformation is exactly what calcification is. The cells in your artery wall are supposed to be smooth muscle, soft, flexible. But when they receive the wrong chemical signals from inflammation and oxidation, they mutate. They start acting like bone cells. They start pulling calcium out of the blood and laying it down in sheets inside the artery, layer by layer, year by year, until the artery that used to bend like a garden hose becomes rigid like a lead pipe. That is hardening of the arteries. It is not wear and tear. It is a biological mistake. The cells were told to build bone in the wrong place. Rutin in buckwheat blocks that signal. Can rutin dissolve calcium that is already hard as rock? No. I will be honest with you. What is stone is stone. But rutin stops new calcium from depositing. It halts the progression. It stabilizes plaque so it does not crack open and trigger a heart attack. And stopping the progression at 70 is the difference between walking independently at 85 and a hospital bed at 78. Martha's calcium score was 450. It built up one breakfast at a time. The oatmeal spiked her sugar. The sugar cracked the lining. The cholesterol seeped through. The immune system attacked. The plaque hardened. If buckwheat had been in her bowl for 20 years, the traffic cop would have been sending more calcium to her bones and less to her walls. The score might never have reached 450, and the surgery might never have been scheduled. Buckwheat is not wheat despite the name, zero gluten. It is actually a seed. If you avoid wheat, buckwheat is safe. A quarter cup of raw groats per serving. Earthy, nutty taste. Now, the first 3 grains protect your artery wall from 3 different angles. Flaxseed stops the rusting. Barley seals the cracks. Buckwheat stops the calcium. But there is a 4th problem that none of them can fix. And this one is hiding in the food you eat every single morning, thinking it is helping you. The 4th grain does not just add protection. It exposes a saboteur sitting on your kitchen counter right now. I read every comment on these videos. The question I see most is, how do I talk to you directly about my specific situation? A video talks to everyone. It cannot talk to you. Every day, I write one email. When you write back, I write back. Not a team. Me. Senior Health Life Daily. Free. First link in the description. Reply to the welcome email. Tell me what you eat for breakfast and what your last cholesterol number was. I will read it. I will respond. Grain number 4, amaranth. And the proof that your healthy breakfast is destroying the wall the first 3 grains are trying to protect. Open your kitchen cabinet in your mind. What is in there? Instant oatmeal with flavoring. Each packet has 12 to 15 grams of added sugar. 3 teaspoons hitting your blood in under 30 minutes. That sugar slams into your artery lining like sandpaper. Every morning. For years. Whole wheat bread. You think it is better than white. Your body does not agree. Whole wheat turns to sugar in your blood almost as fast as white bread. The word whole on the label is marketing. Your arteries cannot read labels. Granola. Oats glued together with oils and baked with sugar. It has the same effect on your blood as a broken up candy bar with a picture of a mountain on the package. Orange juice. A glass contains as much sugar as a can of soda. The fiber that would slow it down was removed when they squeezed the fruit. What is left is liquid sugar at full speed aimed directly at the lining of your arteries. Rice cakes. They spike your blood sugar higher than table sugar. They are marketed as diet food. They are one of the worst things in your kitchen for your artery walls. Muffins. A single blueberry muffin from the store can have 30 to 40 grams of sugar. That is more than a can of Coca-Cola disguised as breakfast. Dried cranberries and raisins you sprinkle on cereal. A quarter cup contains 26 grams of sugar, 6.5 teaspoons on top of whatever else is in the bowl. Every one of these items is tearing open the wall that flaxseed and barley and buckwheat are trying to seal. You cannot build the wall and tear it down at the same time. The grains build. The sugar tears. If both are in the same bowl, the sugar wins. Amaranth is the opposite of everything in that cabinet, and the compound inside it is so powerful that for decades, scientists thought it only existed in shark liver oil. It contains a compound called squalene. For decades, the only known sources of squalene were shark liver oil and olive oil. Amaranth is one of the only grains on Earth that has it. Squalene works inside the cells of your artery lining. It protects those cells from the sugar damage. It stops cholesterol from rusting at the source. And it naturally slows down the same process in your liver that your statin targets. It does part of what your statin does, from the food side, without the muscle pain that statins cause in some people. If you are on a statin, amaranth is an ally, not a replacement. They work on the same problem from different angles. But if your next cholesterol test drops more than expected, the amaranth is part of the reason. Tell your doctor so they can adjust if needed. A study gave amaranth to patients with heart disease. Their cholesterol dropped, their triglycerides dropped. The most dangerous form of cholesterol, the kind that packs most aggressively into artery walls, dropped the most. 2 to 3 tablespoons per serving, tiny seeds. When you boil them, they release a thick starch that makes the breakfast bowl creamy. Amaranth also has more protein than any other grain. If you are losing muscle mass, which happens to every senior after 65, this is the grain that fights back on two fronts: artery protection and muscle preservation in the same spoonful. It also contains more magnesium per serving than brown rice. Magnesium relaxes blood vessel walls. Low magnesium is linked to artery spasm and irregular heartbeat. Most people over 65 are low on it and do not know it. You can find amaranth at health food stores or online, about $5 per pound. A pound lasts over a month. Martha threw out every saboteur in her cabinet: the oatmeal, the bread, the granola. She replaced them with 5 glass jars. Those jars cost her less per week than 1 prescription copay. And they did more for her artery walls in 90 days than 20 years of the food with the heart logo. You have been eating grains the food industry sold you as medicine, while the real medicine sat on a shelf you never looked at. That is the betrayal. And it gets worse, because what you eat in the morning does not stop damaging your arteries when the morning is over. The damage follows you into the afternoon, into the evening, into the night, into the hours when your body is supposed to be repairing. Grain number 5, millet. And the reason your breakfast is still damaging your arteries at 3 a.m. while you sleep. You think breakfast only affects your morning. It does not. And this might be the most important thing you hear in this entire video. When your blood sugar spikes after breakfast, the sugar molecules crash into the proteins lining your artery wall. They bond permanently. The sugar molecule welds itself to the protein. That weld cannot be undone. It is permanent. The welded protein becomes stiff. It cannot flex. It cannot stretch. It cannot do its job. And it triggers an alarm. Your immune system sees the damaged protein and sends repair crews. Those repair crews cause inflammation. That inflammation weakens the wall. That weakness lets more cholesterol through. And the cycle starts again. One sugar spike, one set of welds, one round of inflammation, one weakened wall. Multiply that by every morning for 20 years. That is how Martha ended up in a clinic with a calcium score of 450, wondering how she did everything right and still ended up with an artery 80% closed. Those shards of caramelized sugar are still there at noon, still there at 6 p.m., still there at midnight, still there at 3 a.m. when your body is supposed to repair the artery wall. But the repair system cannot work because the damage from breakfast is still active. The shards are still scraping. The inflammation is still burning. Your overnight repair cycle, the most important healing window of the day, is being sabotaged by what you ate 18 hours ago at your kitchen table. Your body does its deepest artery repair between midnight and 5 a.m. Blood pressure drops, blood flow slows. The cells lining the artery wall are supposed to use this quiet time to patch the damage from the day. They produce a gas that relaxes the wall. They clear out debris. They seal the cracks. But they can only do this if the environment is calm. If there are sugar shards still stuck to the wall at midnight, the repair crews cannot work. They spend the night fighting fires instead of building. By morning, the wall is weaker than it was the day before. And then you eat the same breakfast and the cycle starts again. This is why your blood pressure is higher in the morning than at night. This is why heart attacks peak between 6 a.m. and noon. The wall was supposed to heal overnight. It could not. The damage accumulated. And the morning surge of blood pressure hits a wall that is weaker than it should be. That is why two people with the same cholesterol number can have completely different arteries. The one who eats a low-sugar breakfast has smooth walls. The one who eats instant oatmeal with sugar on top has rough walls covered in shards. Same cholesterol, different arteries, different futures. The difference is breakfast. Millet has the lowest blood sugar response of any common grain. A massive review of over 65 studies proved it reduces the after-meal sugar spike by 15% compared to wheat, rice, and processed oats. It does not spike. It does not crash. It releases energy slowly. Your artery wall is spared the sandpaper treatment. Not just in the morning, all day, into the night, while you sleep. When Martha switched to the 5-grain bowl, the first thing she noticed was the 10 a.m. fatigue disappeared. That crushing heaviness she blamed on getting older for years. It was not age. It was a sugar crash. The millet flattened it. The crash stopped. By day 3, she said she felt like someone plugged her back in. A quarter cup per serving. One thing to know. Millet contains a compound that can affect your thyroid in large amounts. At a quarter cup a day with adequate iodine in your diet, this is not a concern. But if you have a serious thyroid condition like Hashimoto's, mention it to your doctor. Boiling it thoroughly reduces the compound. Stop and think about the last 4 days of your breakfast. How many mornings did you eat something that spiked your blood sugar? How many mornings was there sugar on top? Each of those mornings sent shards into your artery walls that lasted until you fell asleep. If that has been happening for 5 years, that is 1,800 mornings of damage. 10 years, 3,600 mornings. 20 years, like Martha, over 7,000 mornings. And every guideline told you those breakfasts were protecting your heart. Before you start the 5-grain bowl, 5 things you must know. If you are on a blood thinner, tell your doctor you are adding flaxseed. It has a mild blood thinning effect. Not dangerous at 2 tablespoons, but your doctor should know. If you are on 2 or 3 blood pressure pills, check your pressure daily for the first 2 weeks. Flaxseed can drop it an additional 10 to 15 points on top of your pills. If you feel dizzy standing up, your doctor may need to lower your dose. That is the flaxseed replacing part of what the pill does. If you have celiac disease, skip the barley. Replace it with extra buckwheat. 0 gluten. You still get 4 grains working on 4 different threats to your artery wall. If you have a thyroid condition, talk to your doctor about the millet. Boiling it helps. A quarter cup is unlikely to cause problems, but your doctor should know. If you are on a statin, the amaranth works on the same liver process. They are allies. Together, they cover the artery from 2 directions. But tell your doctor so they can track your numbers. The 5-grain breakfast bowl. How to make it. Take a large jar. Mix 1 cup of whole barley, 1 cup of raw buckwheat groats, 1 cup of millet, and half a cup of amaranth. That is your dry mix for the week. The night before, put half a cup of the mix in a small pot with 1.5 cups of water. Bring it to a boil. Turn off the heat. Cover it. Leave it on the stove overnight. 5 seconds of effort before bed. Those 5 seconds start the softening process that makes the barley release its protective fiber by morning. In the morning, turn the heat on low for 5 minutes. The grains will have absorbed the water and softened into a warm porridge. This is the bowl that replaces the saboteur. This is the bowl Martha ate for 90 days before her cardiologist canceled the surgery. Take it off the heat. Stir in 2 tablespoons of cold ground flaxseed. Do not boil the flaxseed. Heat destroys the omega-3 that protects your artery lining. Top with a quarter cup of fresh blueberries and a small handful of raw walnuts. Do not add sugar. Do not add honey. Do not add maple syrup. Do not add dried fruit. Every spoonful of sugar on top sends new shards into the wall that the 5 grains just spent the night preparing to heal. Where to find these grains? Ground flaxseed. Any grocery store, baking aisle, or health section. About $4 for a bag that lasts 2 weeks. Keep it in your refrigerator. Hulled barley. Health food stores or online. Make sure it says hulled, not pearl. Pearl has been stripped of the protective layer. If you buy pearl, you are paying for the wrong grain, about $3 per pound. Buckwheat groats. Health food stores or the international aisle, sometimes labeled kasha, about $4 per pound. Not wheat, 0 gluten. This is the grain that works on the calcium your doctor told you was permanent. Amaranth, health food stores or online. Tiny sand-colored seeds, about $5 per pound. A pound lasts a month. $5 for 30 days of the compound that was previously only found in shark liver oil. Millet, health food stores or online, about $3 per pound. Look for foxtail millet or pearl millet. This is the grain that stops the sugar shards from forming in your artery walls while you sleep. Total cost for a week of the 5-grain bowl, $3 to $4. Less than 1 prescription copay. Less than 1 box of the cereal with the heart logo. And it does more for your artery walls than both combined. What happens in 4 days? Day 1. You eat the bowl. Your blood sugar after breakfast peaks at 115 instead of 170. Your artery lining is immediately spared the sugar assault it has been taking every morning for years. You feel fuller than usual. That is the barley fiber working. Day 2. The fiber from the barley and flaxseed forms a thick gel in your gut that traps cholesterol and pulls it out of your body. Every gram of cholesterol trapped in that gel is a gram that will never reach your artery wall. Your gut bacteria are starting to adjust. You might notice your digestion feels different. That is the shift beginning. Day 3. Your gut bacteria produce a surge of a compound that calms inflammation throughout your body. The alarm chemicals in your blood begin to quiet. The molecular glue on your artery walls that was grabbing immune cells and pulling them in begins to dissolve. You might feel more energy than usual. The morning heaviness might lift. That is what Martha felt on day 3. She said it felt like someone plugged her back in. Day 4. The omega-3 from the flaxseed and the squalene from the amaranth reach enough concentration in your cells to start working. The stiffness in your arteries begins to soften. You might notice your hands feel warmer. Your feet might tingle slightly. That is blood reaching places it has not reached well in years. Your blood pressure may be a point or two lower than it was 4 days ago. If you feel the warmth and the energy, that is a good sign. Your arteries are responding. If you do not feel anything yet, that does not mean it is not working. It means the damage is deeper and the repair needs more time. Keep eating the bowl. The biology keeps working whether you feel it or not. Can you dissolve 20 years of plaque in 96 hours? No. I am a surgeon. I will not pretend otherwise. What 4 days does is clock in the cleanup crew. The biology turns. The wall starts calming. The rust starts slowing. The sugar shards stop forming. By week 2, the inflammatory markers in your blood begin to drop. The repair systems that were overwhelmed by daily sugar damage start catching up. Your energy improves because your blood sugar is stable instead of crashing every morning. By month 1, the blood tests start changing. CRP drops. Triglycerides drop. Your doctor can see the shift on paper. The artery wall is tighter. Less cholesterol is getting through. Less rust is forming inside. By month 3, your doctor can see the full picture. CRP near 0. Blood pressure down. Triglycerides down. That is when the medication conversation opens. That is when your doctor looks at the numbers and says what changed. Martha's cardiologist postponed the stent at month 3. 3 months of a $2 bowl did what 20 years of oatmeal and 1 pill could not. 5 mistakes that will ruin the protocol before it starts. Eating whole flax seeds instead of ground. Your body cannot crack the shell. The omega-3 and the protective compounds stay locked inside. You get nothing. Every whole seed you swallow passes straight through you, while your artery wall gets 0 protection. Grind them or buy them ground. Using pearl barley instead of hulled. The polishing stripped the fiber that seals your artery wall. You are paying for a grain that had its medicine removed at the factory. If the bag says pearl, put it back. Adding honey or syrup because the bowl tastes plain. 1 tablespoon of honey is 17 grams of sugar. That spike undoes the protection the millet is providing. Use fresh blueberries if you need sweetness. The fiber in whole berries slows the sugar. Fiber is the difference between medicine and poison. Skipping the overnight soak. Hulled barley is tough. If you try to cook it fresh in the morning, it will be hard and chewy and you will quit after 3 days. The overnight soak does the work while you sleep. 5 seconds of setup the night before saves the entire protocol. Expecting a miracle the next morning. The changes at day 1 are invisible. They are happening inside your cells at a level no cuff can measure. By day 4, you may notice something. By day 14, your numbers may shift. By day 30, your blood tests tell the story. This is not a pill that works in an hour. Food works in layers, day by day. Bowl by bowl, the protection builds. The biology rewards patience. After 30 days, ask your doctor for 4 blood tests. High sensitivity CRP. This measures inflammation. If it drops, the barley and flaxseed are calming your artery walls. Your doctor can see it on paper. Triglycerides. The amaranth targets this number. If it drops, the squalene is working. Fasting glucose. If it drops, the millet is flattening your blood sugar curve. Your artery walls are getting less sugar damage every morning. A full cholesterol panel. If the ratio between good and bad cholesterol improves, the entire 5-grain system is shifting your blood in the right direction. 4 tests, 1 blood draw. The proof that breakfast changed your arteries. Bring the results to your doctor. Put them next to the results from before you started. Say this: "Doctor, I changed my breakfast 30 days ago. I replaced processed grains with whole grains that have evidence for artery protection. My CRP dropped. My triglycerides dropped. My fasting glucose dropped. Can we discuss whether my current medication doses are still appropriate?" If your doctor sees improvement across multiple markers, the conversation shifts. Not because you asked for fewer pills, because the numbers asked. Numbers are the only language your doctor responds to. If your doctor pushes back and says, "Stay on everything," say this: "I understand. Can we recheck in 60 days and compare?" If the numbers continue improving, I would like to revisit the medication doses at that point. No doctor can argue with a recheck, and 60 days of continued improvement gives you even stronger numbers to bring to the table. If your doctor says diet cannot change arteries, you now know that a study of 110 patients dropped blood pressure 15 points with flaxseed alone. You know that barley beta-glucan has an FDA-approved health claim. You know the research. You are not guessing. You are measuring. And you are bringing proof. Martha changed nothing except breakfast. Same exercise, same sleep, same pills. 90 days later, her inflammatory markers were near zero. Her blood pressure was down 15 points. Her cardiologist looked at the numbers and said, "Keep doing what you are doing." The surgery that was 90 days away became unnecessary because of 5 grains in a bowl. Check yourself right now. How many of the 5 grains are in your kitchen today? Probably 0. How many of the saboteurs are in your kitchen today? Probably 4 or 5. That ratio is the problem. Flipping it is the solution. And it starts with a jar, a pot, and 5 grains you can order tonight and receive in 2 days. Every morning you eat the wrong breakfast is another morning the sugar spikes. Another morning, the wall cracks. Another morning, the cholesterol seeps through. Another morning, the calcium builds. Another morning, the shards follow you into sleep. And another morning, the repair your body needs cannot happen because the damage from breakfast is still working at midnight. You now know the 5 grains. Flaxseed stops the rusting and drops the pressure. Barley seals the wall so cholesterol stays in the blood where it belongs. Buckwheat stops new calcium from building. Amaranth shields the cells from sugar damage. Millet flattens the spike so the shards never form. 5 mechanisms. 1 bowl. 1 morning. Every day. No single grain does all 5 jobs. Flaxseed without barley leaves the wall leaky. Barley without buckwheat lets calcium build. Buckwheat without amaranth leaves you exposed to sugar damage. Amaranth without millet means the sugar spikes are still happening. Millet without flaxseed means the rusting continues. Each grain covers the gap that the others leave open. Together, they form a complete shield. Apart, they are partial protection. Your artery wall needs all 5 because it faces all 5 threats every single day. Knowing the 5 grains and building a daily system that puts them in your bowl without thinking are 2 different things. The blood pressure protocol covers the breakfast system and every other meal and every overnight hour in a way this video cannot. Imagine this: 90 days from now, you sit across from your doctor. The blood work is back. The inflammation number is down. The triglycerides are down. The blood pressure is down. Your doctor looks at the chart and looks at you and says, "What did you change?" You say, "I changed my breakfast. 5 grains, 1 bowl, less than $2 a day." Your doctor says, "We might be able to reduce your medication." You walk out with 1 fewer bottle, 1 fewer pill, 1 fewer reason to worry about side effects, 1 fewer copay. That is not a fantasy. That is what happened to Martha. That is what the research supports. That is the conversation the protocol prepares you for. The protocol is not in a bookstore, not on Google. First, we talk through the email list. First, I learn what is happening with your body. Then, the protocol. The link is in my first comment below this video, pinned comment at the top. The person watching after you will read the comments first. That person is eating instant oatmeal right now, thinking it is protecting them. That person has a cholesterol number they think is fine, while the artery wall tells a different story. Your comment is for that person. Tell me 2 things: what you eat for breakfast right now, and what your last cholesterol number was. Those 2 answers might save the next person from a surgery that did not have to happen. Hit the like button. 1 tap puts this video in front of someone you know who is eating a saboteur breakfast right now and calling it healthy. Subscribe. The next video connects directly to what you learned today. Send this to 1 person tonight. The one who eats oatmeal every morning and thinks they are protected. The one whose doctor says the cholesterol looks fine. The one who has never heard of these 5 grains. They deserve to know the gold medal was in the grocery store the entire time, and nobody told them. Tomorrow morning, 5 grains, 1 bowl. The cleanup crew starts in 4 days.